Hi friends, so welcome back to this new class, and we are dealing with a very important topic that is affecting all of us, and is about the law of the country. So when a law is formed in the parliament, we cannot just sit at home and say it is not going to affect me at all. So one way or another it is going to affect me. If it is a good law, it is going to protect me. If it is a bad law, then it is going to give me trouble. And therefore we need to know about the law. We need to study about the law, and we need to understand how can it be affecting my life when it is implemented and so on. So in the last class we were talking about who's brought this rule of law in India. Who brought the rule of law in our country? So some people were telling it is the British who brought the rule of law in our country. But we saw what British introduced in our country was arbitrary law, not the rule of law, not a just law, but it was arbitrary law. That means they wanted to punish the Indians. If anybody is criticizing the government, they will be arrested and put in the jail, and there will not be court case or anything. Straight away go to the jail. Or if anybody is speaking against, or if anybody is protesting against government, or if they feel that this fellow is a dangerous fellow, he is not doing any protest or anything, but government feels that he is a dangerous fellow for the government, then he can be simply arrested and put in jail. So that kind of laws were passed by the British, and therefore they were bringing the law not for supporting or making the life of the Indians better one, or to give them justice and so on, but their intention was to protect their kingdom, protect their empire, and continue their smooth ruling. Anybody is protesting or anybody is criticizing or any dangerous fellow is there, they all will be put in the jail, so that British can rule without any problem, without any opposition and so on. That was their situation. So people are aware, the Indian people, lot of educated people were there. They were aware about the injustice that was being done to Indians, and therefore they demanded that when you discuss about the law, we also should be invited, and we should be given representation in decision making and so on. So Indians started demanding for a just law, and slowly we see the government is giving, the British government is giving opportunity to the Indians, slowly accepting the demand and so on. So we can say it was not the British who brought the rule of law into our country, but it was the Indians who demanded, who changed the situation in our country by introducing new law, just law and so on. So the idea of justice that was born in the mind of the Indians, not in the British. Then when the 19th century was almost over, that is at the end of the 19th century, then Indian legal profession also began to emerge and demand respect in colonial courts. So when the 19th century was getting over, it means almost reaching 1900, there were so many people who qualified in law, who became lawyer, who became advocate. So they were aware about the law, and they are aware about the injustice the people were facing. So because of their knowledge, they are not keeping quiet. They said, I know what is the law, I know what is rule, so give us this, give us this. So they began to demand more respect, more justice, more freedom and so on. Then they began to use law to defend the legal rights of the Indians. So if any Indian is arrested simply without any reason and put in jail, then these lawyers, these advocates, they began to demand that this person should be released, this person should be given justice and so on. Then Indian judges also began to play a greater role in decision making. So Indians got qualified and so they were also selected as judges. So before only the British people were sitting as judges in the court. Now Indians are also qualified to become judge, and therefore they also began to play a major role in giving justice to the Indians. The British were never giving justice to the Indians. If a British fellow and an Indian fellow fight, the British judge will always say the Indian is making the mistake, he should be punished, and the British fellow will be allowed to go free. But when Indian judges came, the situation changed. They began to show justice to the people. Then that way, slowly, the evolution, we can say, the need for a law arrived. So in the beginning it was completely suppression by the British. They were not giving any freedom to the Indian people, but slowly, because of the awareness about the injustice people are facing, or the emergence of the lawyers, advocates, the judges, slowly the Indian system, legal system began to improve. People began to get justice. Then with the adoption of constitution, we said after independence India adopted the constitution, and this document served as a foundation on which all the laws depend. So all the laws that are made in the country will be completely depending on this Constitution of India. We cannot make a law that is going against the Constitution. So all the necessary things are written down in this Constitution, and all the laws that we are making should be completely depending on this Constitution. If it is going against the Constitution, then law will not be accepted, it will be rejected. And every year our representatives pass several laws as well as revising existing ones. So we said one of the duties of the parliament is to make new law. So if they realize that there is a need for making a law, then the parliament members come together, discuss together, propose the bill, and everybody after discussion they will say this law is okay or not. Or sometimes they will say something is okay but something is not okay. Therefore, what is not okay should be corrected and should be rewritten with amendment. It can be passed as a law and so on. So it is our members of the parliament who pass these laws. Then, for example, let us say the parliament passed a new law. It is called Hindu Amendment Act 2005. So before, only the male members of the Hindu family could inherit the property. So the property of the family, the land, the house, everything will go to the boys, male members. And the girls were not getting anything. Girls will be married and sent to another family. So they made a law in order to help the women of these Hindu families. They said everyone will have equal share of family property. So the mothers, the girls, the boys, everyone will have equal share of the family property. So that was the rule that we made, the new law that was made in the parliament. So that was to help these people, especially people, the women belonging to the Hindu family. Then similarly, new laws have been enacted to control pollution and provide employment. So government makes new law with regard to control the pollution or to provide new employment, and so government feels that there is a need for a new law, therefore they make a new law. Then how do people come to think and propose that a new law is necessary? So let's see, how do the members of the parliament are making the new law? How do they know that there is a need for a law and so? Or why are they making a new law? Who is telling them to make a law and so? We shall see in the next topic. That is what we are going to talk. So how do the new laws come about? That is our main topic for today. How do the new laws come about? Or who helps them and so on. So let us see. The parliament has an important role in making laws. So it is the role of the parliament, duty of the parliament to make the laws. Nobody else can make the law. Then there are many ways through which this takes place, and it is from different groups in society that raise the need for a particular law. So who makes the need for a law or demand for a law? So the demand comes from the society itself. For example, we said the Hindu Act 2005. So the Hindu women were feeling that they are neglected. All the male members of the family is getting share of the property of the family, and we are not getting anything. So they felt the need that there should be a law to protect their life, to treat them equally. Boys and girls should be treated equally, and so they demanded that there should be a law, and the law was created. In the same way, in the society so many issues are there. So we need to discuss about these issues. People need to discuss about the issue. Suppose if we sit like this, oh, it is the duty of the MP to make law, let me sit here. Then we will continue to suffer and the MP will not bother. So we have to conduct meetings, public gatherings, announcements, to write in the newspapers, or we have to give in the TV about the need of the people, and so that way public opinion is raised. People all around, they come to know, oh, there is a need for a new law. These people are suffering, they are facing injustice. There is a need for a law and so. So it is the people who are bringing up the issue. They know what is their problem, how they are suffering and so. So in order to reduce their suffering, they need to bring up a new law. They need to make it aware, and then once it is become a common need, then the MPs will take it up and they will go to the parliament. So it is first we, the society, have to take up the issue for a new law which will help us to improve our life, to protect our life and so on. So there is a passage given here at the end in different colors, you can see. So we will see, just to see what it is. So domestic violence refers to the injury or harm or threat of injury or harm caused by adult male, usually husband, against the wife and so on. So there is a law against domestic violence, because very often in the house men are abusing the women, especially husband is beating the wife. He may drink plenty of wine and come home in the evening and start beating the wife, or he may send her away from the house, or he may not buy food for her and may make her to starve or make her to do too much work. So all these are domestic violence, and sometimes she will be beaten up and so on. And so abuse of the women can also include verbal, sexual and economic abuse. So the husband also can abuse the wife by scolding her, telling her all the bad words and so on, then abusing her sexually, or economic abuse, not giving her enough money for survival, not giving enough money for buying clothes and other needs and so on. So all kinds of sufferings can be there. Then the Protection of Women from Domestic Violence Act 2005 extends the understanding of the term domestic to include all women who live or have lived together in a shared household with a male member who is perpetrating the violence. So in 2005 there was a law that Protection of Women from Domestic Violence Act 2005. So it is written 2005 because that became a law in 2005. So according to this law, people who are staying in the house, women who are sharing the house with men, or wife who is sharing the house with husband. So when there is a violence, especially by the male, by the man, that is against this law, and the husband can be punished. So this law was only limiting to this domestic violence. If the husband is beating her or giving her scolding, too much scolding, or not giving enough money and so on, that was only mentioned here, not beyond anything. So people felt that this law is not enough. This explanation is not enough. There are many more other things are there. Women are suffering at home. So all those things are not mentioned here. Therefore, the women felt that this law is not enough to protect the rights of women. There should be a better law. We have to make a better law in order to protect the rights of women. And therefore, people began to discuss about it, complain about it, and make the authorities aware about it. That is what given in the next page. In the story format it is mentioned. So I hope you all like stories, and therefore it is written like story. We can see it is given in the story format, like cartoon it is mentioned. So let us read through. So first it is said about the story that is taking place in 2006, and the newspaper is reporting the Protection of Women from Domestic Violence Act 2005 is passed. That means it has become a law. So the women are reading it. So they say that it is a great day. Two women are discussing. It is a great day because they have got a special law in order to protect themselves from the abuse of men. But they are telling this law is not enough because all the protection that we need is not mentioned there. Therefore, we need a new law. So what happens? So that is about the new law. So before that is what? So this 2006 law happened after a long struggle, after a long demand. So let us see what happened before that. That was in 19. We said that was in many years ago. That was, let's say, what happened in 1991. So there few women are sitting in their office and discussing. What are they discussing? They are going to a counselor's office and say, I need some help. My husband beats me every day, and I am ashamed to tell others, and so on. So she is explaining about her suffering that comes from her husband. And another woman is telling, I am being ill-treated. I am treated very badly, my son and his wife, and so I need protection. They may even chase me out from my house, and so on. So they are demanding. So they are going and complaining to the officer what they are suffering at home, the difficulties that they have at home, and so on. So people began to come out and share their problems, what they face. Many women are afraid to go and tell others that they are suffering from their husband. Husband is beating them or not giving them money, not giving them food, and so on. Many are ashamed to tell others. But some women who are courageous, they came out and shared their problems, and that way many more people came out. They also got courage, they also came forward. And so there are many women's associations are there. They began to take up this issue. They began to hold public meetings. stand in the crowded place in the town and speak about the difficulties that women are facing, speak about the abuses, the injustice that women are facing and so on. And they discuss the women lawyers, they come together and they discuss about women's problem and they speak about introducing a new bill. So they want get the suggestion from the people and make it the voice of the people and send it to the parliament. So they drafted a bill and gave it to the MPs. Please pass this bill so that women can experience protection and so on. And so the women's suggestion was accepted and the parliament, they started discussing about it and they passed that bill. But when the bill came out, when the parliament passed the bill as a law in the year 2002, they realized all the points that they had mentioned, all the requirements that they had written in the law, that is all not there. The parliament, they discussed and removed some of the sentences that was written by this women organization, and they chose only some clauses, some sentences. And so when the women read about it, they realized that what we have suggested, everything is not there. So the MPs have removed some. So they said, let us call meeting again, let us start protection. So they began to use online protection, protest, and they began to write in the internet, and they began to write in the newspapers and so on, in order to make every woman aware about the need for a new bill. The bill that they have just passed is not enough. It's not going to serve the purpose. So they began to make more people aware about it. And so several women's associations, they took up this case. Then there's a National Commission for Women. They also joined this on, and they went to the Parliament committee to submit this new draft. So cancel the old law and introduce this new law as it is. So what we are giving, everything should be there. You should not cancel anything. You should not remove anything. Otherwise, the protection for the women is not assured. So they submitted it again, and the committee discussed about it in the parliament again, and then finally they accepted as it is the women, what the women gave. So that is what we call it, the protection against protection against the Women's Bill in 2000, Protection of Women from Domestic Violence Act 2005. So that is the law. Finally they accepted. So the women had worked very hard. They made everyone aware about the need for a new law. They started protesting. They started campaigning in the internet, through newspapers, through TVs, through public meetings. So more and more women came and aware about the need for a law to protect them and to take care of them. So finally their demand was accepted, and government passed the suggestion, passed the bill or the law that was prepared by the women in order to protect the women from all the problems, all the domestic violence and so on. And we see that the women are appreciating that. They say it is a new beginning, it is a new step for women. Now the husbands cannot simply beat them, they cannot simply punish them. The women go and complain in the police station, then husband will be arrested. And so it is dangerous for the husbands, the men, to harass, to make violence against the women, and so it is illegal to make the violence against women. Therefore they should be very careful in order to violate the rights of women. So I hope you can read the story and follow it up, how the women took different steps, how different organizations came together to discuss and so on. In that way, slowly, though it took many years, finally the women achieved the target. They were able to bring a law for protecting themselves from the violence of their own men, maybe husband, maybe son, and so on. So that is the story how this new law came about. So the new laws are coming because of the initiative taken by the people, making all the people aware about it, and then finally sending it to the parliament, and parliament will discuss about it again, and finally the bill will be sent to president, and the president will sign, and it becomes a law for the country. So a few questions are there. Let us just see. What do you understand by domestic violence? So domestic violence means the violence that is taking place at home, men against women, maybe by husband to his wife, or maybe son to his mother, and so on. Sometimes we can see when the son grow old, or when son become big, he will chase away the mother or the father from the family, and they may be going and staying in some other orphanages and so on. That is all violence. They are the women. They have every right to stay in the house till they die. So nobody can chase them out under this law. So if anybody is chasing them out, or not giving them food, or not giving them enough money, then they can file case in the police stations, and those people who violate the rights of women will be arrested. And list two rights that the new law helped achieve women who are survivors of violence. So because of this new law, we can say two most important help that women got was, one, maybe they got protection from the violence from men, and they also got monetary relief. The men are supposed to give them enough money for their survival, for their food, for their clothes, for their shelter, for their medicine, and so on. They are supposed to get money. So that is because of this law. Then, can you list one process that was used to make more people aware of the need for this law? So what did the women do in order to make all the women aware about the need for a new law? We said they did the online petition. They were campaigning through online, through internet, and so on. That is a modern method that they use. All those who have mobile, all those who have got computer, they are able to read about the suggestions made by this group of women. So everybody can read, understand, and they can also join that group to demand this new law for the society. And so we can wind up for today, and in the next class we will study again about the different unpopular and controversial laws and so on. So we shall wind up for today and continue in the next class. So thank you for listening. Have a nice day.